Okay, so have you ever had that thing happen where you stand up from your desk, you walk into another room with like absolute purpose?
I'm in nothing.
Yeah, absolute zero. You're just standing there staring at a wall and you have no idea why you're there.
The classic doorway effect. I think literally everyone knows that feeling. It's like your internal Wi-Fi just drops for a second.
Or what about at a party? You meet someone, you shake their hand, you hear them say, "Hi, I'm Dave." And 3 seconds later, I mean, literally 3 seconds,
Poof. Dave is gone.
vanished.
Yeah.
And you spend the rest of the night calling him man or buddy because you just can't ask again.
And right in that moment, what's the immediate feeling that washes over you?
Oh, panic. And honestly, a lot of shame. My first thought is always, wow, I'm losing it, or I'm just not sharp today. It feels like a glitch.
Right. Like your brain just blue screened. And that feeling, that immediate jump to shame, that's exactly what we're digging into today. We have this deep-seated belief that forgetting is a failure, that it's a sign of a character flaw or a lack of intelligence, or maybe we just didn't try hard enough.
Right. But the research we're looking at today seems to flip that whole narrative on its head.
Completely. The core argument here is that forgetting isn't some bug in the system. It's a feature.
A feature. That's a bold claim.
It is. The thesis is that forgetting is not evidence that your brain is broken. It's evidence that your brain is working exactly as designed. It's an active system for filtering, not a passive failure of storage.
Wow. Okay, so our mission for this deep dive is to basically dismantle that moral judgment we have about our own memory.
Exactly. And replace it with a more mechanical understanding of why the brain actually needs to dump information. We have to stop seeing it as a test we're failing.
Okay, so let's unpack that, because that failure narrative is, I mean, it's so strong. I feel guilty when I forget things. So where does that come from?
Well, the source material points to this really dominant cultural model, and they call it the container myth.
The container myth. Okay, just the name alone sounds like it's going to explain a lot of my anxiety.
It probably will. We tend to think of the brain as a storage space, like a box or a library or maybe a computer hard drive.
Right, and learning is just putting information into that box.
Exactly. You put the name Dave into the box. It should stay there until you need it.
And if it's not there when I go looking for it?
Then the box must be leaky or defective. But that model it completely ignores the biology of it all. And before we even get to the biology, a lot of this gets reinforced by our education system.
Oh, totally. I mean, school is basically 12 years of remember this or you fail.
It is. The source highlights that modern education makes recall and learning the same thing. Tests are just designed to reward you for reproducing information at one specific moment.
And the language. I can still hear my teacher saying, you should know this by now.
Yes. That phrase is so important. You should know this. It implies you violated some kind of obligation. It makes memory a duty.
So if you forget, you haven't just lost a piece of data. You failed a responsibility. You didn't study hard enough.
It becomes a moral failing. We apologize for forgetting. We say, I'm sorry, I forgot, with the same tone as I'm sorry I broke your lamp.
Yeah, that's so true. I've definitely said I just have a bad memory as a kind of, a preemptive apology. But why does that narrative stick so hard outside of school?
Well, a big part of it is just emotional intuition. Forgetting feels like a mistake.
It feels like loss. Like you reach into your pocket for your wallet and there's just a gap where it should be.
Exactly. And in almost every other part of life, losing something is a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
You lose your keys, you deleted a file. Your brain just assumes this is another one of those errors.
But a memory isn't a set of car keys.
No. And here's where it gets really psychological. The source talks about something called the control paradox.
I found this part fascinating, is the idea that deep down we actually want it to be our fault.
In a weird way, yes. Think about it. If forgetting just means I didn't try hard enough,
then remembering is something I can control. If I just try harder next time, I'll get it. It gives me agency.
Exactly. But if you accept that forgetting is just structural, that it's what the brain does automatically,
then you have to let go of that control.
you have to accept that your brain has its own rules for what's relevant, and it doesn't really care what you consciously want to keep.
That's both terrifying and kind of liberating. It's like you're not the engineer of the ship, just a passenger.
Right. And we tie memory so closely to our identity, to competence. When I forget a detail at work, I don't think my brain is optimizing. I think I'm bad at my job.
Yes. But okay, so let's pivot. If the goal isn't to keep everything, what is the brain actually trying to do?
It's not optimizing for completeness. It's
Yeah.
optimizing for survival, for efficiency and for adaptability.
Okay, survival and efficiency makes sense,
Mm.
but wouldn't remembering more stuff help with survival? I mean, more data means better decisions, right?
Not always. Just imagine for a second if you remembered everything,
Mm.
every single sensory input. The color of the shirt of every stranger you passed on the street 3 years ago. The exact temperature of your coffee every morning for a decade.
It would be unusable, just absolute noise.
It would be paralyzing. The source calls this the noise problem.
Hmm.
You couldn't spot patterns because the important stuff would be buried under mountains of useless data.
So the brain has to be a bouncer.
That's a perfect
It
analogy.
has to kick people out of the club so the important guests can get a drink.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's constantly asking, is this useful? Is this predictive? Is this emotionally important? And like we said, it doesn't consult your ego.
It doesn't consult your ego. I want that on a mug.
Okay, so let's get into the mechanics of this. The source lists 5 specific ways that forgetting actually protects us.
The 5 protections, yeah. This is where it gets really clear that forgetting is an active process, not a passive one.
Okay, hit me with number 1.
The first one is energy conservation. It's easy to forget the brain is a biological organ that runs on calories, and maintaining memories, keeping those neural connections active, is metabolically expensive. So it's a budget issue.
Completely. The brain is an energy hog. It's, 2% of your body weight, but uses 20% of your energy. Has to cut costs.
So if a memory isn't being used, the brain just stops paying to keep the lights on in that room?
That's a great way to put it. It ruthlessly reallocates those resources.
Yeah.
It's a use it or lose it economy, basically.
Okay, that makes total sense. So when I forget a name, it's just my brain trying to keep the electric bill down. What's the second protection?
Reducing interference. This is a big one.
Interference, like when I change my password, but my fingers keep typing the old one.
That is the perfect example. You have 2 competing pieces of data for the same context. Forgetting the old password is crucial for you to be able to retrieve the new one quickly.
Right. If I remembered every password I've ever had with equal clarity, I'd just be stuck at the login screen forever.
You'd be paralyzed. Forgetting clears the path for what's current. It's not just for passwords either. Think about where you parked your car today. You need to forget where you parked yesterday, or at least have it fade, so you don't wander around the wrong section of the parking lot.
You have to clear the cache. Okay, that makes sense. What's number 3?
Number 3 is adaptability. This is sort of a macro version of the interference point. A rigid system can't update itself.
So if I move to a new city, I need to forget the street layout of my old city to actually learn the new one.
Or at least let that old map fade way into the background. In data science, they call it overfitting. If your brain fits the old data too perfectly, it fails when the situation changes. You have to forget some of the specifics to learn the general rules that help you survive in a new environment.
So forgetting is literally a survival mechanism for change. It's how we generalize.
Spot on. We trade specific details for generalizable wisdom.
Okay, number 4 was about emotions, right? This one felt really important.
It's critical. Emotional stability. The basic idea is that we shouldn't relive every single experience with its original emotional intensity.
Oh, wow. Yeah. If I felt the acute embarrassment of something I did in 7th grade with the same intensity today,
You'd be a wreck. The fading of that emotional charge is what allows us to move forward. If we didn't forget the intensity of grief or fear or pain, we would be perpetually trapped in trauma.
so forgetting is a form of healing.
In many ways, yes. The memory fails to age properly in some conditions, like PTSD. It stays fresh. Normal forgetting is what helps it erode and become part of the past.
We need that erosion. Okay, and the last one, the 5th protection.
Preventing false certainty.
What does that mean exactly?
Well, if you held on to every piece of information you ever learned with equal strength, you'd give outdated information way too much weight.
Ah, okay. So I'd be arguing confidently about facts that just aren't true anymore.
Exactly. You'd be insisting Pluto is a planet, or that a store that closed 5 years ago is still open. Forgetting helps your mental model match the current reality. It makes you calibrated to the world as it is now, not as it was.
So we have this container myth that makes us feel terrible, and then these 5 protections that show why we need to forget. The source offers a new way to think about it, a new metaphor.
Yes, and I love this one. Instead of the container, they suggest a model of selective erosion.
Selective erosion.
So instead of a library with shelves, picture your memory as a landscape, like a canyon or maybe a coastline.
Okay, I'm with you. A landscape.
New information isn't a book you put on a shelf. It's more like a structure you build on that landscape. A sandcastle, maybe?
And time and lack of use. They're like the wind and the rain.
Exactly. That's the key. The default state is erosion. In the container model, the default is it stays put. In the erosion model, the default is it fades away unless I actively maintain it.
So forgetting is just the natural erosion of structures that weren't reinforced.
Right. And reinforcement is use, its relevance, its emotional connection. Those are the things that make a structure strong enough to withstand the elements.
This totally removes the judgment. The wind isn't wrong for blowing on the sandcastle.
Precisely. It explains why forgetting feels so arbitrary. The erosion doesn't care what you wanted to keep. It only cares about what was structurally sound. Remembering is the exception, not the rule.
And that's why I can remember the lyrics to some stupid commercial from 1998, but not the name of the person I just met.
Yes, because that jingle was reinforced, maybe through repetition or a catchy melody, in a way that Dave wasn't. It survived the erosion.
It's survival of the fittest, but for information in your head.
That's a perfect way to put it.
So bringing it all home for everyone listening, what's the one big takeaway from this?
I think it's that forgetting is the starting state, not the opposite of learning. It's the essential mechanism that keeps our brains efficient, adaptable, and, frankly, sane.
So when I walk into a room and forget why I'm there,
Don't see it as a personal flaw. See it as your brain clearing the cache. It's saying, okay, new context, let's dump the old buffer and focus on what's right in front of us now.
stop apologizing for our brains doing their job.
Absolutely. Stop moralizing it.
And there was that one final, really provocative thought in the source material that I loved. It was about what cognition is actually for.
Yes. This is the idea to really chew on. We think memory is about storing the past.
Right.
But if we stop seeing it that way, we might realize that our entire cognitive system is actually built for navigating the future.
Whoa. Say that one more time. That feels huge.
Our brains aren't archives designed to perfectly record what already happened. They're prediction engines. We only keep the memories that help us predict and navigate what's coming next.
And then the rest.
The rest is just wind and rain.
That's a beautiful place to leave it. We're not broken hard drives. We're navigation machines.
Exactly.
Well, thanks for diving in with us. I'm going to go try to remember where I left my keys, but if I can't, I'm blaming selective erosion.
As you should.
Catch you on the next deep dive.